Welcome to another episode of The Neophytes, a special series within the Never Close the Inquiry podcast, wherein my good friend Thomas Maybe and I sit down and talk about current issues in politics. We are not experts, neither of us, and that's kind of the whole point. If we repeated our conversation today with the benefit of more time to think things through, it would be different, maybe in small ways and maybe in big ways. The message we're trying to convey is that it's okay not to know. It's okay to keep learning, and it's okay to change your mind. In fact, it's probably good. The fact that you believed something before doesn't mean that when presented with new information or upon reconsideration, you're still locked into that prior view. It's okay, in other words, to never close the inquiry. We're back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
To your own show.
Yeah, thanks. And this for us is commendable consistency. You know, we've been getting episodes out multiple times per quarter.
Bi-quarterly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, okay, it was good. I think we should give ourselves credit for that. So today, I believe you came in with a long list of never mind. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No, I have some stuff that we're going to talk about.
Excellent.
Okay, so first, actually, we might leave this for the end and then see if we get to it. But I think I might have figured out lasting world peace and harmony among nations. We'll
Tariffs?
We'll see. We'll leave that for last.
Okay.
How corrupt is too corrupt? Okay, so that's going to be a general umbrella.
Okay.
Tech in schools. Okay.
Okay.
And then something from a text you sent earlier this week, having one source for news, one trustworthy source.
Oh, yeah. I could talk for a while about that.
Okay. So
unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who's listening.
That will be, given that we have a dozen of listeners, maybe both. Okay, but first let's have a moment for our sponsors. A new one today, Muscle Milk. I have a certain fondness for Muscle Milk. Here's the thing. If people have had protein shakes they're, no matter what flavor they are less good than the non-protein version.
You have to, in the similar vein to like drinking a diet soda, you have to put it in a different category. So
I, as a great lover of diet soda, don't see that the same way.
As a person that has diabetes and has to make the choice, against their will.
Sure.
If you have a diet Mountain Dew,
it does not taste like a normal Mountain Dew.
It is not. And so if you were to judge it next to each other, then maybe if you grew up drinking Diet Mountain Dew, maybe that would be your preferred, but purely because of the sugar.
Here I think is the distinction. I think the science that they've done with diet sodas is actually really good. So like I like and maybe it's decades of indoctrination. Maybe it's that. However, I like Diet Coke more than I like normal Coke.
Yeah.
But and maybe that's the indoctrination, but hear me out. I'm not sure there's anyone on earth, even who has consumed, who has eaten a very healthy diet, eaten and drunk a very healthy diet for multiple decades, who has had far more artificial chocolate shakes than actual chocolate shakes, who would have a Muscle Milk next to something from Iceberg. Here, Iceberg is a fantastic kind of shake and burger shop here in Salt Lake. Very, very good, very generous shakes. But I don't know anyone on earth who would have a Muscle Milk and be like, you know what, I actually prefer the taste of that to a Heath Bar Rocky Road shake from Iceberg.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a health nut that hasn't had anything else.
Who hasn't had one of those and is also lying. Muscle Milk's it's nice. Like if you're used to protein shakes, then protein shakes get kind of good. It's like chocolate-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite chocolatey, but chocolate-ish. But if you're going to compare them flavor and texture-wise to, the real thing.
So where does it fall on the scale of Fairlife?
Ooh, Fairlife's darn good. I think I like Muscle Milk in part because Muscle Milk was the first protein shake I ever had. So I have that, it's like the memory, the nostalgia built into it. Like if you drink Muscle Milk, you're going to get strong because first protein shake I ever had, I was 18, and it's like, this is going to be the secret.
Wow.
And
you were just thinking about those biceps growing as you were shoveling it down.
It's like
your
this
throat.
is magic.
Yeah.
This is magic.
Yeah.
And so now, even though I think I have, obviously protein shakes are helpful if you're trying to build muscle or keep it. But maybe now I have a more sober view of what protein shakes and protein's in everything now. I think protein shakes hold up better than most other protein things in the artificial protein category.
They've had a lot of time.
They've had a lot of time. They're pretty good. They're quick. It's less like we're used to the idea of a protein shake, whereas the idea of a protein bagel or waffle or something like that's a little newer. It's a little more offensive.
And then you start getting into like the really weird replacements being used and aftertastes and.
Yeah, I don't know about clear protein. I haven't had any of those.
Definitely anything that is like a meal replacement shake as well is usually kind of not as good either, I've noticed.
Okay. That actually is pretty good. I just had a drink. Man, Muscle Milk. But the thing is, having drunk it for, semi-consistently for over a decade and a half, that's pretty good. Okay. So that moment for our sponsors, I also have a Diet Dr. Pepper here. Delicious. I'm not sure if it's better than straight Dr. Pepper, but
yeah. See, those things they can be preferential mostly because they're just different flavors at this point.
Yeah. Okay. How corrupt is too corrupt? Okay. I want to set this up with this. Okay.
All right, and I would like to say I have no idea what's going to happen here, so I'm excited to try to ruin it.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So, the United States Constitution. Heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. Article 1. So you have the preamble, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and ensure...
Promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That was pretty dang good.
I think I memorized it at some point.
I assume you did. I'm impressed and gratified. Okay, so that's the preamble. That's the whole point of the Constitution. Sets up the structure of the government, all that.
That's what they typed into ChatGPT before they put it out.
Well, no, it's different from what they typed into ChatGPT. They asked ChatGPT, "Can you give us like a ballpark, like intro to a country's governing document?"
Yeah,
whatever you call that.
We'll put in like what was the first thing they did?
We the people.
No, the Confederate.
Oh, Articles of Confederation.
So they put that in as like, okay, take this as like a baseline. But with these new parameters, you want to include everyone, but not exactly slaves, like have all these.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, so Article 1, Section 9 ends with, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Okay? Mm-hmm. Reasonably clear?
I think so.
What do you take that to?
What does it mean to profit in this case?
Office of profit or trust under them?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I wonder what ChatGPT says. No, office of profit or trust. Actually, funnily enough, I've never thought about office of profit or trust. Gosh dang it, we're gonna have to have Kaylee
See,
delete this.
your brain is so large, you just process
Well,
stuff wholesale, and I have to break it down.
no, it's funny because it does.
And maybe that doesn't even matter, you know?
Well,
But
I mean, I can tell you what the clause generally means.
right. I hope you can, because I probably couldn't, but
Well, the basic gist is that you don't want federal officials, especially the president, to be taking gifts, benefits, bribes, and whatnot uh, from foreign states. Basically, you want it to be against the Constitution explicitly for our leaders to, absent the consent of Congress. So maybe there are some circumstances in which, if say we're looking at we get the whole map up. If say the government of Romania were to present a great gift to the United States, to the president, something to go in the White House, it could still be accepted, but you'd need Congress's consent first. I imagine that was something they had to do for the Statue of Liberty. I haven't thought about that. But
yeah,
maybe.
probably.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool gift.
A famous gift from Romania.
Yes, from the French province of Romania. But yeah, to this idea of just the scene, the forest. It's like it is kind of funny if you feel like you can get the gist of things, you can see the forest for the trees. But then if someone asks you a question about one of the individual trees, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. See, that's that's my role, is to complicate things.
Yeah, like walk up to a forest and say, "Is that a maple?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tree. Anyway,
So like you can't have nobles giving stuff to the president.
basic gist is that you don't want the president influenced by foreign countries. You don't want and you don't want evil, and you don't want the appearance of evil. So, obviously a foreign country could give the president $1 bajillion and have it not influence what the president does, but it still looks suspect. So we just want to bar it altogether. And, we have similar laws that govern, all public officials, where there are real limits on what they can accept from members of the public or from lobbyists.
Unless it's super PAC.
Unless it's super PAC or they really want it. But no, there are very serious limits on what can be given to actual politicians, because we don't want, we don't like bribes. We don't want people acting in the interest of specific people who can give them money or favors or trips to ride on horses or fancy airplanes or nice paintings from Romania. Yeah. Anyway, this is an article that came out yesterday evening, January 31st, 2026, at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It's in the Wall Street Journal. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this, if that's okay.
First, tell me how I should feel about the Wall Street Journal.
Great question. I think you should like the Wall Street Journal. I obviously am a mainstream media sort of guy. I do not watch news television, so I can't make any comment about CNN or anything like that. MSNBC, Fox News, I just never watch them. But I think whatever your opinions are of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, the LA Times, Boston Globe, are starting to go a little bit further down the pyramid. But whatever you think of these papers and their political leanings, I think they are very serious. Generally, that they are better funded than any other papers. Their investigative teams are deeper and generally better. They get access to stuff no one else can consistently get access to. I like the papers. And each of these papers, you have to view them as having distinct parts. So the reporting side is different from the opinion side. So the editorial board and those who regularly write opinion pieces for these newspapers, those are different from the newsroom part of it.
Okay.
And so the New York Times, I feel like, and maybe the Washington Post too, a fair amount of consistency ideologically between their newsrooms and editorial boards. So, they do lean left, center left generally. They have some people who don't fit under that umbrella, but it's probably generally fair.
You said the Washington Post?
Yeah, Washington Post and New York Times.
Which is the one that Bezos owns?
Washington Post. And okay. I don't know enough to tell you how it has changed since he bought it. But as a general rule, I think they are center left to left in the ideology of the people who work there for the most part. And I think a lot of people on the right like to dismiss them. And in certain respects, maybe that's fair, but I think there's a big difference between dismissing a paper that's that well funded and that well run and can produce work of that level of seriousness, even if some of it is colored by a bias you disagree with. There's a difference between dismissing that and dismissing like a random commentator on Substack, for random example. The Wall Street Journal has a more conservative editorial board. Okay, the Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch, same guy who owns Fox and all that. And so the Wall Street Journal has historically been dismissed by people on the left for many of the same reasons that people on the right would dismiss the New York Times and Washington Post. However, I think, reserving comment on the editorial board, I think their newsroom is very good. And when it comes to market-related stuff especially, there's no one better. The Wall Street Journal is genuinely the most popular paper on Wall Street, and they provide reporting that no one else does. So to the extent you're in those businesses, it is, you kind of have to, well, you don't have to be aware of what's happening in it, but it's generally considered a good idea. And when I was at Skadden, and here too, I think a lot of law firms, maybe the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal recognizes their audience, and so it seems like at least the two law firms I've been at have free access to the Wall Street Journal. And by free, I mean I'm sure they pay a lot of money, but for the individual attorneys, it feels free. It's like that's the paper people in finance and law turn to. Anyway, so this article, and we're not going to tell you the title yet. It starts 4 days before Donald Trump's inauguration last year. So you're familiar with Donald Trump? I think.
Yes.
Okay. 4 days before Donald Trump's inauguration last year, lieutenants to an Abu Dhabi royal secretly signed a deal with the Trump family to purchase a 49% stake in their fledgling cryptocurrency venture for $500 million, according to company documents and people familiar with the matter. The buyers would pay half up front, so $250 million, steering $187 million to Trump family entities. The deal with World Liberty Financial, which hasn't previously been reported, was signed by Eric Trump, the president's son. At least $31 million was also slated to flow to entities affiliated with the family of Steve Witkoff, a World Liberty co-founder who weeks earlier had been named U.S. envoy to the Middle East, the document said. The investment was backed by, I'm going to start messing these names up. Apologies to the people of Abu Dhabi or anyone of Arab extraction who takes offense at my pronunciation here, but the investment was backed by Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, more or less, an Abu Dhabi royal who has been pushing the U.S. for access to tightly guarded artificial intelligence chips, according to people familiar with the matter. Tahnoon, sometimes referred to as the Spy Sheikh, is brother to the United Arab Emirates president, the government's national security advisor, as well as the leader of the oil-rich country's largest wealth fund. He oversees a more than $1.3 trillion empire funded by his personal fortune and state money that spans from fish farms to AI to surveillance, making him one of the most powerful single investors in the world. The deal marked something unprecedented in American politics, a foreign government official taking a major ownership stake in an incoming U.S. president's company. Now note, under the Biden administration, Tahnoon's efforts to get AI hardware had been largely stymied over fears that the sensitive technology could be diverted to China. Of particular concern was one of Tahnoon's own companies, the AI firm G42, which had stoked alarm among intelligence officials and lawmakers over its close ties to the sanctioned tech giant Huawei. Oh, gosh, I've seen it. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I realize there are a lot of words I've read 1,000 times and have never heard said out loud, and I don't know how to pronounce them. My parents make fun of me a lot because the way I'd learn words was generally through reading, and I just pronounce things incorrectly. Sometimes it actually still happens, which is kind of funny because being in mid-30s and all. Huawei and other Chinese firms. The company said it severed ties with China. This G42, the AI firm, said it severed ties with China in late 2023, but concerns persisted. Trump's election reopened the door for him. In the months that followed, Tahnoon met multiple times with Trump, Witkoff, and other U.S. officials, including in a March visit to the White House where the Sheikh told officials he was eager to work with the U.S. on AI and other issues, according to people familiar with the matter. 2 months after the March meeting, the administration committed to give the tiny Gulf monarchy access to around 500,000 of the most advanced AI chips a year, enough to build one of the world's biggest AI data center clusters. The framework agreement called for roughly 1/5 of the chips to go to G42, the Wall Street Journal previously reported. The agreement was widely viewed as a coup for the Emirates' ruling family, overcoming long-standing U.S. national security concerns and allowing the country to compete with the most powerful economies in the world at the cutting edge of AI advances. Proponents hailed the deal for unlocking a flood of investment into the U.S. and for helping entrench American technology as the global standard. What wasn't publicly known, Tahnoon's emissaries had signed the deal to purchase 49% of World Liberty that January. Okay, so let's break this down quickly. So you have Tahnoon, the UAE, they've been trying to get access to this AI stuff for a number of years. They had trouble under the Biden administration. At G42, the AI firm, specifically previously had ties to China, and I believe their CEO, I'm going to go down to find his name, is, it was born in China. Zhao. Somebody Zhao.
You could say that's ties to China.
Peng Zhao, I think is how I'm going to say his name. So G42 CEO is Peng Zhao, who was born in China, later obtained U.S. citizenship, but then has since renounced it in favor of a UAE citizenship. Okay, so G42 has arguable ties to China, and that was a concern under the Biden administration, where we're not gonna give the UAE these AI chips. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then separately, at some point, the Trump family and Witkoff, they found this company, World Liberty Financial. So it's a decentralized finance protocol developed by its namesake company. So the company is World Liberty Financial, and they have a decentralized finance protocol. I don't know a ton about decentralized stuff, but anyway, it was founded in 2024 by Zachary Folkman, Chase Hero, Alex Witkoff, Zach Witkoff, and various members of the Trump family. It's a business venture. It looks like a lot of the ownership was of the Trump family. Okay, and World Liberty Liberty Mutual. Okay, World Liberty, I believe, does not yet have a product. Not totally sure that's right. Maybe let's say it does. Yeah. Okay. The Trump family receives 75% of net proceeds when World Liberty Financial sells tokens and also gets a cut of stablecoin profits. By December 2025, the Trumps had profited $1 billion on proceeds while holding $3 billion worth of unsold tokens. Okay. Good. Oh, so that's working out well for them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So going back, UAE couldn't get this under the Biden administration. There are ties to China. Okay. And then after the election, but before inauguration, the UAE agrees to buy 49% of World Liberty Financial for $500 million, with $250 million paid. Did they say paid up front? Yeah, paid up $250 million paid up front. And to give you an idea of the Trump family's ownership, 187 million of the Trump of that 250 million went to Trump family entities. And then thereafter, before that's known, the U.S. enters into this great deal with the UAE to give them the AI stuff, the AI chips, and the UAE gives the U.S. some money.
Mm-hmm. And that's an official thing through the government.
What
you just mentioned, the getting the chips and stuff, or no?
Yeah. So the administration
Okay.
committed to give the tiny Gulf monarchy access to around 500,000 of the most advanced AI chips a year, enough to build one of the world's biggest AI data center clusters. So basically, can't get it with the Biden administration. Gives $500 million to buy ownership in a largely Trump family controlled business,
Mm-hmm.
and then that paves the way for this deal. I think is a reasonable way to look at it. I'm not sure what another way to look at it would be.
That they bribed Trump to give them what they wanted.
Well, that would be one way of putting it.
It's more of an interpretation of what we already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on its face, what it looks like let's take the politics out of it for a second, or let's take the national politics out of it for a second, because I think we understand. Let's say that we have 12 listeners, which might be an overestimate, honestly, but I'm guessing of those 12, 7 or 8 are related to us, and lean. Let's say that they're in the middle or the don't like Trump part of the right, or to the left. Then of our remaining 4, let's say 2 are pretty comfortable libs. Let's say 1 is, I'm thinking of my most recent interviewee, Ben Connolly, who's an awesome guy. He's he's conservative, very principled conservative, does not like Trump. And then let's say that we've got at least 1 Trump voter listening to us. And let's say, in theory, among the subscribers to the newsletter, there are a lot. There are a number more people who are supporters of the president. So the question is not how you convince a Democrat that this is not ideal, because you could find something much more innocuous and convince a Democrat that it was a big deal. Question is not how you convince a moderate that it's a big deal. Question isn't how you convince a Republican who dislikes the president that it's a big deal. Question is, how do you take someone who likes the president, supports the president? Okay, well, there's a couple of different versions of liking the president. There's supporting the president's policies and much of his policy priorities, and then there's straight up liking the president. Yeah. I think there are far more people in the former camp than the latter.
Probably, as time's gone on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, thinking of the Trump supporters I know personally, I think the lion's share of them are fairly clear-eyed about at least some of his personal shortcomings and do not like the way he approaches politics, but simply agree with his policy priorities, or agree to them enough and dislike Democrats' policy priorities.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this gets to actually kind of a fundamental question, I think. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. But this gets to a fundamental question that I think a lot of people on the left, it is hard for everyone on both sides of the aisle, depending on what the situation is. But if let's say that someone on the right does become convinced, Donald Trump is not a moral person. He's not the sort of person you'd really want in charge of maybe anything, but certainly not the entire country and the most powerful country in the world. Mm-hmm. And they also think, with something like this specifically, like this is kind of beyond the pale, and it looks an awful lot like a foreign sovereign bribing the president personally for the benefit of that foreign sovereign's nation. Okay?
Yeah.
And so they start to think, if you give me another option, like I would support someone else. But the issue, and now someone could say, well, Republicans had the opportunity to vote against Trump in the primary, and that didn't happen. But setting that aside, it isn't as simple as saying, okay, Trump took a bribe, and I don't like him personally. Ergo, I will vote for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whatever. Like you are to vote for someone for another party. You are giving up your policy priorities.
You're giving up your religion and your cult. Like
that's a harsh way to say it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel about it. Like we seemingly don't have room to budge on certain issues, and so people become entrenched in what they want, and so getting them to move. It's difficult to change, and your disgust for a human being would have to reach a pretty high level.
Yeah.
I think a problem might be that there's not enough good candidates that they think that they could vote for instead. So someone that has the same Trump policies but is not Trump, put simply.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting that there's been this bill, I can't remember if it was pushed through or not, but trying to ban people like Nancy Pelosi from stock trading.
Yeah, the Pelosi Act by Senator Josh Hawley.
Yeah, and it's like, like there's clearly some corruption going on, whether or not you can prove it in a court of law or whatever, and all that stuff. But like, there's a lot of people in politics making a lot of money off of these deals, and we have a giant industry based on tracking their public trading options. And it is weird that would be considered not good for our country, and then deals like that you just talked about, or the Qatari jet, or just the
same sort of deal.
The calculated wealth that Trump and his family has gained since he's been in office. I feel like I read an article that said like 1.4 billion or something. So yeah, I mean, maybe there should be more laws about that too.
No, it is.
Or like, I thought those laws were already in place.
So, okay.
And now we don't care because like, I feel like it gets complicated with, oh, well, he doesn't own that company. It's his family, and they're not really
right.
But then he gives them positions on different government boards or whatever, and
yeah, I mean, even, like if Mitt Romney said he was running and he was divesting from everything, putting into a blind trust, and then all of a sudden Tag Romney is entering into all these real estate deals in the Middle East. People would be suspicious. If if Chelsea Clinton all of a sudden purchased much of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia or something, like it would, with the Clintons in the White House, it would be something that I think people would notice. Okay, so three things kind of happening here. There are two questions that I thought of while you're talking, and I might have forgotten them, so we'll see if they come back. But one thing is that it's easy to be principled. This is actually, I'm going to take a quote. This is not solely from this source. It's everywhere.
From the Lord.
Not even kind of. I was going to quote Game of Thrones.
My lord.
Fair enough. Different usage. But when in the first season of the show, because I naturally haven't read the books, when Ned Stark has been, I think at that point he'd been, spoiler alerts, Ned Stark,
Mm-hmm.
played by Boromir, Sean Bean, Scene Bean. He's been captured, and Robb Stark is riding south. And Jon Snow at the Wall. He's taken his oath to be a member of the Night's Watch, and he's going to leave. He's going to go chase after his and support his brother. And Maester Aemon says, basically, it's duty's easy when it's not tested. Everyone can do their duty when it's easy. The question is, can you do your duty when you're actually being pulled against that duty? And so I think there are two things here. One, for politicians, can you avoid evil or the appearance of evil when you have every opportunity to enrich yourself? Could you, if you were elected and all of a sudden you had insider information on so many things, are you the sort of person who would be able to resist that? Especially considering, even if you go, if you make a few $100,000 a year, that is honestly really a colossal amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you spend semi-prudently, that's like private school is probably a little tough there. But if you're going to public school, if your kids are going to public school and you're not doing anything too crazy, you will have a ton of money. You'll be able to save a lot of money and put away a lot for the future, and go out to nice restaurants and go on some nice trips. If you take that to like $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year, all of a sudden, you really do, I think, kind of have to start finding stuff to buy. It's like, you're buying fancy purses or fancy Maseratis, or when you go on vacation now, you're staying, 5-star hotels, you're flying first class. You have to come up with ways to spend that level of money. And I think the temptation, it's clearly strong. I would imagine a lot of politicians who ended up getting very rich, maybe doing things in office they said they wouldn't do when they're in office. They entered with high ideals, and then they were tested once they were in office, and over time it's like, wow, it would be nice to have this money. I also think the other thing, there's a lot of money making in politics that has nothing to do with corruption at all. It's just that,
right? Yeah, it's the legal way, the legal route.
Yeah, there's totally legal ways. One, you'll meet a lot of people that other people might not meet, and you have opportunities to go and invest in certain things where there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just that you happen to be in the right place at the right time. Also, politicians make a ton of money writing books. You write a book, you get a $2 million advance from Simon & Schuster, and now maybe that sells reasonably well. That's fine money, Anyway, so on the politician side, there's a question like, can you resist the temptation if you were in that position and you had that ability to capitalize that you criticized when you weren't in office? And then if you were a voter, can you look at a politician whom you support politically and decide not to support them because they have done, because they have enriched themselves that way? For myself, I think of, so in 2016, I voted for Hillary. In 2020, I voted for, yeah. In 2020, I voted for Sweet Joe. In 2024, I voted for Vice President Harris. So I think there have been fewer Republican criticisms of Harris on this front, but certainly a lot of criticisms of the Clinton family about for a ton of things, corruption related, and maybe none of them justified, maybe some of them justified. Maybe Bill Clinton is showing up in the Epstein files, no more than would surprise us, but still more than would leave us comfortable.
Yeah,
and then with Joe, certainly there was a lot of stuff with Hunter, and maybe there was, maybe the vast majority of it is smoke, but there was not zero smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Anyway, and I voted for them without, I won't say it was without a second thought. With Hillary, I was like, maybe I'll vote for Evan McMullen, being that my vote was going in Utah, and it's like, this won't have, I actually had this thought. It's like, it won't matter either way, and so I can do the principled thing. And I was like, that's stupid. I actually want Hillary to win, so I'm going to vote for her. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, I have now revealed myself to a good chunk of the country as someone who does not care about politicians' morality. So how dare I sit in judgment on their choice to support Donald Trump, who is not a good person in any traditional or most non-traditional senses, and has seemingly been enriched considerably, and continues to be further enriched considerably by his position in office.
Yeah.
But supports what they want, by and large.
I think it'd be foolish not to recognize the difference in, like, there's a scale here.
Okay.
And obviously the Clintons depending on what sort of aspect of corruption we're talking about here, would cause some people not want to vote for them. And sometimes I do wonder, there's the whole, I feel like you can rile up really left-leaning people by saying something like both sides are the same.
Yeah.
Like there's no difference.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear that I'm not saying that, but I wonder how much access to information, like if we had the same kind of access to information in the comings and goings of the Clintons, for example, like how much more would we know about maybe some of the stuff that they did, and if we could compare it. But as it stands right now, from the stuff that we know about what Trump has been doing, it makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It seems like the whatever protections were in place that made what's his face sell his rice farm or whatever. Who was that? Was it Jimmy Carter? Somebody sold it. Oh no, it was a peanut farm.
Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But
yeah. So like we have a president that
made someone sell his rice farm. Jimmy Carter, there have been a lot of criticism of him as a not very good president. But it seems like the vast majority of people seem to agree he was a good dude.
It's a principled person.
Principled fellow.
Yeah. So just the way that it appears to be that you can buy things from the government or get special favors or and that's happening with businesses, it's always been that way. Like when all of the billionaires donated to Trump's
inauguration.
Yeah, inauguration, and then went to the party and did a little brown nosing, and that's disgusting, and I hate that. But I would expect that to happen to every president, more or less, to some degree.
Maybe not. Certainly not quite so openly. I don't know. Okay, subject for debate.
Yeah, but yes, I'm just in general very uncomfortable with the fact that there seems to be so much freedom in how you can get money out of foreign countries.
Yeah.
To go to specific places that's in your pocket. Or your family's
mind-boggling
pocket.
Amounts of money, by the way. $187 million to his family's entities.
Mm-hmm.
$187 million is so much. If you spend $187 million in your lifetime,
you must be
you got to try
prince.
hard to do that. You got to try really, like that. That's where, you're buying stupid stuff. You're buying stupid stuff.
Or you're building
my personal opinion.
You're building pump and dump schemes with your Bitcoin, stuff like that. I mean, that's yeah, we won't get into that.
Yeah. None of this is to that is another angle of this. This is a crypto company.
Yeah. I mean you said I don't think they have a product, and it's like, well, AI companies in general
fair
don't have products, and then on top of it being a crypto, I guess can you call it a scheme without it being negative? But whatever it is, it's involving crypto,
Yeah.
which has made Trump a lot of money.
Yeah. And crypto, which is okay. So the caveat that I am, you know me to be a tech skeptic person, and like I think like even if we had never spoken about it, if you had for some reason been reading about crypto and then thought, I wonder what Hagen thinks of this, you would probably think he thinks something negative about this.
Yes,
is that fair?
or that you don't know what crypto is.
Oh man, that is gloriously high praise. That's one of the nicest things that anyone's ever said about me. No, I do know what it is. I actually read a book about crypto-related fraud written by Ben McKenzie of the OC.
Oh,
yeah, which is really interesting. He was a star of one of the great television shows of our early teenhood.
now he's writing crypto books, huh?
Yeah, and it's honestly, yeah, I'm not saying he's the greatest writer of all time, but it's a pretty good book, and it's amazing how much. Well, it's not. I mean, I'm going to say it's amazing how much fraud there has been in crypto, and in a sense, it's not amazing.
That's why it was made, man.
It's like in a sense, it's not amazing because that is
that is the currency to buy anything you want in the world. Right now,
right.
Legal or otherwise, if you don't want to be tracked.
I think otherwise, for the most part. If you don't want to be tracked, my presumption is going to be that this is fitting in the otherwise category. Like if you're like, you know what, I would love to, like if you're buying, I don't know, like a coat, you're going to buy a couple of suits or something. Like you get up into a relatively big purchase.
Yeah,
I want to buy a Ford Mustang, but I don't want anyone to know about it. Besides the government with which I have to register it. Like, no, stuff like that, you're using, at least in America, you're using good American dollars.
Cash.
Yeah, if you're using crypto.
Silver.
Yeah, it's like, gold. I don't know. No, I from the get-go, I remember being briefly, I think like a lot of other people have been crypto curious in the sense like, so wait, if I buy like 1,000 of these for $1 and then they become worth $1 million, I'll be a billionaire.
Yeah.
And so I asked someone, when I was in law school, I asked someone I knew some questions about that, and he seemed very excited, but then I kind of forgotten. Not a billionaire. But anyway, yeah, it's a load of BS. But yeah, so of course they've made a lot of money with crypto. Because the whole idea, the crypto, it's like, I know it can technically be used. It can be used as a currency, and it is used as a currency for certain kinds of transactions. But generally, it's an asset, and its value depends on what people think it's worth.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it's literally like it's just a representation of what people think it's worth. So it's like, there's the U.S. dollar, and there's a reason the U.S. dollar has been used globally, and because it's tied to certain things and it has a lot of value. But we could all wake up with some kind of mind virus and think like, you know what, the peso is where it's at.
Yeah,
and if we started valuing the peso, and they set up a structure where it could work. Like it's only crypto is just one of those funny subjects where it's almost it's just a literal concept of this is worth this. Why is it worth that? Oh well, this computer has to think really hard, and like it takes resources, and it's finite. But in and of itself it's worthless. It's just literally what we're giving it.
I mean, the thing there about the dollar that you did mention is that it is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government or the United States Treasury, whatever. And it can be used as a currency anywhere in the United States. Like it is legal tender. And then it can be used in a lot of other places because people know that they can use it in the United States or can exchange it for currency in their own country. funny enough, I was in Montreal once for a friend's bachelor party, and somehow it hadn't occurred to me that their taxis might not take credit cards. So, and I, at that point, did not have, actually maybe at this point too, didn't have a working debit card. And so I got around the city to the extent I was riding a cab, not with by overpaying U.S. dollars for these borderline separatist Canadian taxi drivers there, the Quebecois in Montreal. Anyway, you pay me in dollars. I know that I can go anywhere in the United States and buy basically anything I want for those dollars, as long as I have enough of them. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you give me Bitcoin, my first thought is, nice. Now I'll sell this for U.S. dollars, and then I'll use those U.S. dollars to go buy something in the United States. These things, they can only be exchanged in transactions where the other side values it. Like the other side has to accept it as tender for whatever you're trying to purchase. Yeah. And there's a far lower number of people or entities that will accept that than will accept like bona fide a country's approved currency.
Yeah, which is why it's so volatile and can change.
Yeah, and we're talking about Bitcoin, which is
the most established.
Most established, yeah. Maybe not. It's not totally stable. It raises the question why you need. There are a number of different kinds of crypto, mm-hmm. and I don't totally understand why you'd need
multiple.
Yeah,
it's like investing.
Okay.
So if Dogecoin goes up, or if Melania coin goes up,
wait,
so
there's Trump coin's a thing, right?
There's multiple Trump related coins and stuff.
Oh, there is a Trump coin, or a $ Trump is a meme coin associated with the United States President Donald Trump. Hosted on the Solana blockchain platform. This is all Greek, basically. To me, 1 billion coins were created. 800 million remain owned by 2 Trump-owned companies after 200 million were publicly released in an initial coin offering on January 17th, 2025. Right. I remember him making like a couple of $100 million from that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And that just by itself should be just unacceptable.
Oh, yeah. March 2025 Financial Times analysis. Financial Times is another very good publication. It's expensive, but very good if you're in finance. And now maybe some finance people will be saying, no, we don't think it's that good. But I have found it impressive. Anyway, March 2025 analysis found that the crypto project netted at least $350 million for the Trump family through sales of tokens and fees.
And if I'm not mistaken, that same coin just like completely plummeted off the face of the earth shortly thereafter. But
right now, a single dollar Trump coin is worth a little over $4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so doing pretty well. Yeah, briefly, the aggregate market value of all coins is more than $27 billion, valuing Trump's holdings at more than $20 billion. But he wasn't able to sell all those.
You just diversify your profile. That's why you have different ones. I guess if you were actually trying to buy physical goods, there's probably reasons that certain carriers wouldn't want like Trump coin.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like, can you buy some cocaine on some weird site with Trump coin? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, man. Anyway, I think where we come out of this is that this sort of thing is really bad. And it's bad for a couple reasons. So there might be a deal to be had with the UAE or with any other foreign country or entity that gives them fancy stuff we produce, like AI chips or whatever it is, that is very good for our country. We want our country to enter into. We want to be in that deal. Mm-hmm. And this might be one of those deals. And let's say we're in that deal and we're happy about being in the deal. But where that deal, where the road to that deal was paved by a massive investment by that foreign country in something indirectly controlled by the actual president, like the appearance of evil. The appearance of evil matters, and I think one thing Trump does really quite well in terms of when I say well, it's not like a good thing necessarily that he does well, but he kind of, I think in one telling of The Emperor's New Clothes, he's the one pointing at the emperor and saying he's naked, and the one who kind of is shining a light on the falsity of a lot of the stories we've told ourselves, or the purported falsity of stories we've told ourselves as citizens of the United States about the U.S.'s goodness, about our role as in the world, not just being based on our strength, but on our goodness and what we want for people of other nations. Like we're standing. We're not just powerful. We're
so
good.
you think that he's tearing that down on purpose, or
Yeah, to some degree. I think he is. He has his own biases, but those biases color a kind of, in a sense, a realist lens where it's like, no, we've always messed around with other countries and we wanted their oil or whatever, and he says these things which I think ring true to a lot of people. He kind of punctures myths that he doesn't care about. And then it kind of creates his own. Tend to be a little self-aggrandizing, or a lot of self-aggrandizing. But he punctures these myths, and I think, and then he'll do something like this where it's like, well, that's corrupt, and he might rejoin. Well, look at what all these other people have done before. Look at what all these other politicians have done before, and even though what he does might be like several hundred times more, whatever that is, people kind of start to equate them, or whatever, and it kind of just he throws away some of the moral moorings, the moral things that keep us bound to shore.
Yeah,
however you pronounce it, I can spell it. And then I don't know what we're left with on the backside, because I don't think you want a basically, a lot of what we've talked about, where it's like kind of a search for meaning, and you kind of tear down and poke at these things, and it's like, well, nothing means anything. It's like, okay, that's fine, and that's especially maybe fine in a college class where you kind of poke at these things, like, what is the purpose of this? It's like, wow, and you can, kind of this postmodernist thing that has been around for 70 or 80 years. I don't know how long. But I think as a country, you need to have these central stories and narratives that give you kind of a national purpose, I think. And I think Trump has poked holes in a lot of those, and I think it's not good, because his point, like, this doesn't, right? He hasn't commented publicly on this to my knowledge, but it would be like, why do you care? This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. One, everyone does it. Politicians get rich from this all the time, and I didn't do it. It was my kids doing it. And politicians' kids get rich from this sort of stuff all the time. And then second, we got a good deal. So why do you care? And that's a real argument. Mm-hmm. However, I think this stuff matters.
Well, it's so I was thinking of two things. So the first question I had, and just completely disregarded because I don't really care, is what the founding fathers' original intent would have been behind not wanting the thing that we read at the beginning of just not being able to be bribed, basically. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, okay, I don't really care about that, because who knows? Maybe they wrote about it, but what does it mean right now? Mm. And what it means right now is people, and I feel this sense, I feel like it's part of other issues as well, but there's a general air of unaccountability
Yeah.
and just getting what you want with whatever means you can because you have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like those aren't feel good.
No.
Those aren't feel good feelings. Like, those aren't the things that I was thinking about when I was pledging allegiance to the flag, we'll say.
Right.
I was thinking about all the cool stories I heard of the wars we fought. And
George Washington could not tell a lie.
Yeah. And
we saved France.
yeah, and we
The good stuff.
Yeah, and we still have all of that, but like I feel like it's just kind of eroding the feelings, like the positive feelings I've had about America, which maybe they don't deserve to be like that. But as far as feeling like a country, probably important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it just kind of whittles down the spirit a bit of like no one will be held accountable. No one, like, they can do whatever they want. They have always done whatever they want. Why should we care? Life's meaningless.
Yeah.
There's no point
Yeah.
in engaging with politics because it doesn't change. Both parties are the same. And, the Epstein files and stuff like
Yikes.
that is a whole other thing. But that's part of the accountability thing right now for sure.
Yeah. I think our leaders and our country's authority, like from, so some of that authority for our leaders and for our leaders especially comes from just like our laws. It's the way the Constitution's written, and state constitutions and whatnot. Like, people gain authority they're voted for, all that. And then as a country, we have a lot of authority worldwide, in no small part because we are huge and powerful and extremely rich. And we have so many natural advantages.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. But I think moral authority really matters. It's not the only thing that matters. And if you want moral authority to matter, you need to have other authority.
So are you talking about on a global scale or like like in America?
Both. I think both.
Because I think when you say that, I'm sure probably 95% of the world just rolls their eyes about moral, applying that to the U.S. anyways.
Maybe now. I think.
I don't know what it was like, what it used to be, but
now, yeah, I would imagine
I
there's.
feel
a bit
like
of eye-rolling.
there's just not. It's not the same.
Yeah, I would imagine the eyes have been rolled so far they're back in the head.
Which
They're
is
looking out
which
back
is
to
why
the
this is where I show how little I know, but the Canadian Prime Minister
Mark Carney.
Yeah, that speech. Did you read or watch it? That he gave?
Bits of it.
Like he was basically calling out the middle powers of the world and saying like the US is just going to do whatever it wants. Like these big powers are just going to do whatever they want, and if we don't change anything, we're basically just rolling over for them.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed Trump off was.
It's funny. So, by the
funny.
way, I saw a criticism of that written by some kind of right-leaning populists who often agree with the president and sometimes don't. Orrin Cass, if you want to name. But it's interesting because their criticism was basically like Canada is out to lunch. Like they can't do a deal with anyone else to replace the deal they have with the United States. They need good relations with the United States. Frankly, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
However, if you're Canada, and if you're a number of other middle powers, and maybe even you throw Europe in here at this point because they're not certainly not the power they were before World War I and before World War II. But Europe, well, like if you're one of these other parties and you are lashed to the United States and whatever the U.S. decides to do, you're kind of along for the ride no matter what you do. It's not a great position to be in when the U.S. Might elect a Donald Trump or someone like that twice, who's very skeptical of these international relationships.
Yeah.
And not just skeptical of those relationships, because it's entirely plausible, I think, that we could elect another president who is also skeptical of those relationships.
Yeah, and that's the big part.
Yeah.
For me.
So Trump is maybe uniquely volatile. What is maybe less unique is this idea of skepticism toward the established international order, which I think more and more Americans have decided recently does not serve our interests. I think they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I would push for smaller changes than a lot of people would. But yeah, if you're a middle power, if you're another country and you want to put yourself in the best position, the safest, most stable position, you need a backup plan.
Yeah,
you need redundancies.
There's no like, I think there was just a big wake up call with a lot of countries when, like, the tariffs, for sure, was like a big thing where someone can come in every 4 years, and even if the changes are positive for you in one of those years, like another 4 years and 8 years, you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know what's going to happen. And because it's just so, it's not as stable as it was over the last, I don't know what time scale you put on the world global order or whatever.
Post World War II. I think that the argument would be that even though the U.S. has always had the potential for that, and any country does, where you switch leaders a lot,
mm-hmm.
or you have the ability to switch leaders and switch parties a lot. It's just that the U.S., both Republicans and Democrats, had really kind of a lot of consensus about our approach to the international order.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there have obviously been disagreements about the degree to which we should intervene in other countries militarily or otherwise, and disagreements about whether we should be strong and what constitutes strength and all these sorts of things. But I think by and large, there's been agreement that we wanted to create the best worldwide business environment possible, and we were willing to be the world's,
and we were
the good side of the world's enforcer.
We were going to run the show,
Yeah.
More or less.
And we still want to run the show.
Yeah.
But now we're being less nice about it.
Yeah, and so I totally get why he was pushing. What was his name again? The Canadian guy?
Mark Carney.
Yeah, so he was pushing for all these countries to just find similarities between themselves and make deals.
Yeah.
And sure, like
not the worst idea.
I mean, and that upsets the world order that we have at the moment, because they feel like they can't trust what's going to be happening in the next 4 years. Yeah, it's just been a very disruptive time for, like, I hate speaking with any authority on anything, because like on stuff I don't really understand, but it just seems like
you're a neighborhood famous podcaster.
Yeah, it just seems like a different shift. Like, it just feels different. I've never felt this way about the country before, and like global stuff. And I'm probably worse off for looking at Reddit.
Oh yeah,
or even just reading anything about the news. Like, there's so many reasons to be upset about something in any political persuasion.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's just so many things that are either ramping up or not getting resolved, or just kind of icky.
Yeah. Back to let's finish. We're already over the time limit that our editor / my beloved wife set for us. But
Sorry.
I want to get back to this. Just to this moral authority idea briefly. I think this is domestic. It applies domestically as well as internationally. You need the strength to kind of buttress the moral authority, and maybe we can just keep it domestic. We're saying the international people, they've always been rolling their eyes, and I'm not sure that's right. But domestically, I think part of feeling good about the country, it's not all of it, but part of it is feeling good about its leaders. Maybe
because it's morally superior. Just say it.
No, no. I think it's not about moral superiority necessarily. It's about aiming for moral goodness and caring about morality. You don't have to. It's not like because I think the negative part of this is you're saying because we believe X, Y, and Z, we are better than whoever else. Or, because we do, yes, of course, these are things we believe strongly, but, because we believe X, Y, and Z, these other people are not fit to live, or whatever. That's a negative way to take that.
Yeah.
But I think some moral authority and whatnot comes simply from caring about goodness. And like what it would be nice to see, like basically, it's nice to see politicians care about the Epstein list. Not all of them have, but a lot have. It's good to see. Mm-hmm. It's like even if you support our party, you give a ton of money to us, or if we think you'd be helpful for putting certain policies into place, we don't need you. There are certain things where if you've done, we will find someone else to do the job that you might have been able to do. Someone who didn't either associate themselves with a child molester or do some molestation personally. And same thing with this. I think it would be nice to see people across the country. It would be nice to see Holly kind of sarcastic. I hate it when they do these things. He titled that the act that you're talking about that's preventing politicians from trading. It's the Pelosi Act.
Yeah.
I forget what all it stood for. It's kind of funny, but just don't do something funny there. Like do something that everyone can support.
The mnemonic device they use. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Do be serious and like that again. That is actually pretty funny. But do something serious. And it would be nice to see. It's just like there are a lot of people who would be pretty good at this job or good enough at this job, who either have used it or will use it to get rich from it. They might do a good job 60% of the time, and then 40% of the time they're enriching their family. We can find someone who's going to do a good job or a good enough job who's not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And to the extent they get rich through politics, like that's going to happen. You're going to meet people. You're going to write a book. Like that's okay. It's fine. Write a book, get a $4 million advance, sell a bunch of copies.
So what you're saying, we raise their salaries to like $5 million.
Okay.
And then we have strict guidelines about any income of anyone related to them within the last 3 generations.
It's probably a little overbroad, and that salary is a little high. But no, that's a serious idea. It's like,
I mean, if you pay them more, they'd be, well, I don't know. I'm not a rich, greedy person. I wish I was. But maybe if you pay them more, they're less incentivized to take deals.
There's an argument there. I think now obviously you can look at any number of super rich people. We talked a little bit about the Trump family, and the fact that they are mind-bogglingly wealthy is so rich they couldn't possibly spend all their money without doing things like buying casinos, and yet they still. Their thirst, their lust for the filthy lucre is unslaked. But there is still an argument that if you raised congressional salaries to like $500,000 or something like that, or I don't know, provided a housing stipend or something that you would
There's a system. There has to be a system that you can make that makes
that incentivizes it less. If you combine that with stricter rules and really strict enforcement.
Yeah, and it's like it's a privilege to have this job. That's why you're paid so much, as well as the work that you're doing. So we would expect we would expect certain things that for you to do that would seem like either an invasion of your sovereignty as a person in America or whatever, but like you're serving the people now. We have these rules. You can't break these. These are like non-negotiable because we have to be able to trust you.
I just had an idea. I'm going to look up whether retirement benefits. Okay. That's too complicated. Okay. I wonder also if there's something, because you want people, I think, to be less bent on keeping their positions and more willing to kind of like take positions of principle. And it's like, if I lose, I lose. I wonder if a more generous pension or something like that might help encourage that. Like where, like if you're staying, like for example, you want to keep stay in office because you think you're getting better at your job, but also you stay in power.
So we're trying to avoid Orrin Hatch.
Yeah.
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 Well,
sure.
I'm not saying anything specifically about him, but just he was there for life.
Ages. Yeah. After promising he would only stay for 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Things to think about. Shoot, it looks like we are out of time. We're not going to get to lasting world peace and harmony among nations.
Dang.
Okay. We'll save that for next time.
The world can wait.
The world peace can wait. We had to talk about corruption today. So, yeah. All right. Well, and that's our episode.
Yay.
Thank you for listening to our many
happiness.
Our many listeners. If you made it this far, our assumption is going to be you are related to us.
Or you are attracted to our voices.
Oh, all right.
See, I tried to be positive.
No, that's good. Yeah. Or you think we're... Okay, 2 other options. You think we're right about everything. Probably not that many listeners. Mm. Or 2, you're anger listening.
Oh, that's the best one.
I mean,
that's where you get engagement.
We could get an additional 12 listeners from that.
I mean, if you let me off the leash, I could get some extreme rage bait going on.
Yeah. If only.
But you'd have to change the rating and stuff and
maybe restrict certain access because I do have a legal practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but we'll think about it. All right. And cheers. All right, and that was the interview. Thank you very much for listening. If you wouldn't mind, please do leave a review for the podcast. I believe those are important. And subscribe to the newsletter, which will be linked in the show notes, or can be found at neverclosetheinquiry.substack.com. Thanks.